Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's October 23rd, 2024. We are in the Old Testament book of Ezekiel, and we're going to read chapter 46 today. All right, Ezekiel has told us, described and measured out this perfect temple, and talking about perfect worship that's going to go on in this temple here. And again, this is the perfect Passover. It's not just about protecting us in Egypt and that one night. It's atonement, bringing us into the right relationship with God, I guess is the way I'm going to put it. And of course, as Christians, that's important to us because Christ becomes our atoning sacrifice and brings us into right relationship with God. Now, we're talking about worship in this new temple. God's presence comes in through the east gate. The east gate is very holy. How holy is it? Well, the prince is not allowed to go in the east gate. No one's allowed to go in the east gate except the priests. And the high priest can go into the Holy of Holies where God lives once a year, and that's it. The closest the prince can come is to the vestibule of the east gate. So he can look in and does his sacrifice. Sometimes the gate's left open in the east gate. Sometimes the gate is closed. After the prince does his sacrifice, he leaves, and he can come in and out with the regular people at that point. And the people come in the east or the south gate, or they can come in the north gate, and the rule for them is if they come in the south or the north, then they have to go out the north or the south. So they have to go all the way through the complex. They can't really go around the east side or the west side, so they have to pass by that open door, and they can look in and they can see and they can keep going. And God is essentially looking at them as well, I guess, is the symbol that we're looking for. And talking about how the offerings are going to be prepared, and this separation between the holiness and the people. And why is there a separation? Because, well, holiness can't abide sin, and the people are sinful, so they can't mix. Otherwise, the people would have to be destroyed because they've come in contact with the holy. So there's that separation going on here. And that idea that the people are approaching God through intermediaries, which, again, as Christians, when Christ dies on the cross and we see the veil torn, we don't need the intermediaries anymore. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Ezekiel chapter 46. Thus says the Lord God, the gateway of the inner court that faces toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and on the day of the new moon it shall be opened. The prince shall enter by way of the vestibule of the gateway from the outside and stand by the gatepost. The priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings. He shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go out, but the gate shall not be shut until evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the entrance to this gateway before the Lord on the Sabbaths and the new moons. The burnt offering that the prince offers to the Lord on the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish and a ram without blemish. And the grain offering shall be 1 ephah for a ram, and the grain offering for the lambs as much as he wants to give, as well as a hin of oil with every ephah. On the day of the new moon it shall be a young bull without blemish, 6 lambs and a ram. They shall be without blemish. He shall prepare a grain offering of 1 ephah for a bull, 1 ephah for a ram, as much as he wants to give for the lambs, and a hin of oil with every ephah. When the prince enters, he shall go in by way of the vestibule of the gateway and go out the same way. But when the people of the land come before the Lord on the appointed feast days, whoever enters by way of the north gate to worship shall go out by way of the south gate. And whoever enters by way of the south gate shall go out by way of the north gate. He shall not return by way of the gate through which he came, but shall go out through the opposite gate. The prince shall then be in their midst. When they go in, he shall go in, and when they go out, he shall go out. At the festivals and the appointed feast days, the grain offering shall be 1 ephah for a bull, 1 ephah for a ram, as much as he wants to give for the lambs, and a hin of oil with every ephah. Now when the prince makes a voluntary burnt offering or voluntary peace offering to the Lord, the gate that faces toward the east shall then be opened for him, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings as he did on the Sabbath day. Then he shall go out, and after he goes out, the gate shall be shut. You shall daily make a burnt offering to the Lord of a lamb of the first year without blemish. You shall prepare it every morning, and you shall prepare a grain offering with it every morning, 1/6 of an ephah, and 1/3 of a hin of oil to moisten the fine flour. This grain offering is a perpetual ordinance to be made regularly to the Lord. Thus he shall prepare the lamb, the grain offering, and the oil as a regular burnt offering every morning. Excuse me. Thus says the Lord God, if the prince gives a gift of some of his inheritance to any of his sons, it shall belong to his sons. It is their possession by inheritance. But if he gives a gift of some of his inheritance to one of his servants, it shall be his until the year of liberty, after which it shall return to the prince. But his inheritance shall belong to his sons, it shall become theirs. Moreover, the prince shall not take any of the people's inheritance by evicting them from their property. He shall provide an inheritance for his sons from his own property, so that none of my people may be scattered from his property. Now he brought me through the entrance which was at the side of the gate into the holy chambers of the priests, which faced toward the north. And there a place was situated at their extreme western end. And he said to me, This is the place where the priests shall boil the trespass offering and the sin offering, and where they shall bake the grain offering, so that they do not bring them out into the outer court to sanctify the people. Then he brought me out into the outer court, and caused me to pass by the four corners of the court. And in fact, in every corner of the court there was another court. And the four corners of the court were enclosed courts, 40 cubits long and 30 wide. All four corners were the same size. There was a row of building stones all around them, all around the four of them, and cooking hearths were made under the rows of stones all around. And he said to me, These are the kitchens where the ministers of the temple shall boil the sacrifices of the people. May God bless the reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.